Well, hello, everyone. It is TexAgs Rewind. I am David Nuno. This show used to be fun. We're going to try to get it to be fun again. We'll see what happens on Saturday night. So on the program today, we did do the Go Hour and the national perception. I hate being the joke. Hate it. Right now, though, you got to sit and take it, right? They can change that, or at least start to change the conversation moving forward. Brandon Leone, as I try to swallow whatever's coming up. Brandon Leone was great, and he gave us a little reason for optimism and why he chooses to believe. That was fun to talk about, and the mindset that the team needs to have moving forward. Recruiting country. Ryan Brauninger told us this is one of the biggest days we've ever seen this Saturday, not only because of the guest list that's coming, but what the implications could be. That was on recruiting country. And Peter Burns of the SEC Network, as always, bringing facts and thoughts and all the good analysis. It is TexAgs Rewind. Everybody liked A&M for one evening. You know, we were on this high, followed by the number one recruiting class, followed by Jimbo's left hook to Nick Saban. Since then, we've started being the joke again. And unfortunately, the App State game gave everybody all the ammo that they needed, OB. Mm-hmm. And I'm sick of being the freaking joke. And there's only one way to stop being the joke, OB, and that is?
Win.
Go win, baby.
Go win. I believe the whole national media has wanted A&M and Jimbo Fisher to fail since the day he was hired. And I believe that A&M under Jimbo Fisher was showing progress, continually showing progress until last week.
Okay.
And so as soon as the body stopped moving, the buzzards were swarming in. And so it's, you have to take your lumps because they're right now.
Right. I don't have a response right now.
Right.
For that, right?
There is none.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, Aggies and those who like A&M will take the bait whenever you pick the national media guy, will be critical of A&M, and they're always ready to get into the fight. And A&M, I would think the general fan base should learn from this in that, just don't say anything. Just go to work, get your head down, go to work, and then start winning, and then have the last laugh. And then once you've actually accomplished it, then attack back at the Danny Cannells and the Joel Klatz and the Dennis Dodds and all those people.
Yeah, but at least some of those guys, and I don't like them for the record. No, I like Dennis Dodd a lot, but at least they're consistent with some of their issues with Texas A&M.
Well, I've never seen Dennis Dodd put any other coach's contract in his story every single time he references them.
Yeah.
Is he going to talk about Brian Kelly's $12 million every single time he writes about LSU?
Yeah, I wonder why that is when it comes to Jimbo. The guy is the national championship head coach.
Because A&M is not supposed to be a team that is in the elite. A&M is supposed to acknowledge its spot as a second, and if there's 4 or 5 tiers to college football, as in the second tier, be happy every now and then, jump up and have a good year and make people say, oh, how about those Aggies? But you're not supposed to aspire to be better. So if you make the moves like, hey, we're going to invest in our program and spend this much money on a coach that's won a national championship, then you're out of line. But if LSU does
by all means,
it's fine.
Yep. Look, the criticism is absolutely fair, 100% fair. The things that some people were saying about the offense, at least as of right now,
is absolutely correct.
Seems to be fair. Brandon, I know you to be an optimistic guy. Where are you today? Are you optimistic about what you think can happen, or are you doom and gloom based on what you've seen?
I'm optimistic, man. And listen, I'm frustrated. I'm pissed off. Anybody that's ever listened to me on this show, going all the way back to when we lost to Texas in 2011, knows that I love this football program and this team and this university more than anybody. I will literally challenge anybody to that. Because this program and this school has changed my life so much, I care about it. I have a vested interest. But here's what I know. Again, life is hard, Nuno. Crappy things happen. And if I just sat around and focused on the negative things that have happened in my life, then my life would probably suck. And so for some reason, I don't know if it's God's grace, he's put something in me that allows me to try and see the good. And I see the good that this team has. I know the things that they can accomplish if they will work together as a team and if they can come together and get it right. And so for me, I think this could be a wake-up call. We have a lot of young players. I really believe that they can turn it around. But, man, I'll tell you what, pride comes before the fall. And sometimes people won't change because of their pride and stubbornness. And the people that learn to adapt and have the humility and the ability to look introspectively at themselves and change, those are the people that overcome adversity and make a greater thing happen in their lives. And so I'm hoping that as a coaching staff that they can do that. And I'm hoping that as a coaching staff and as a team that we're pouring that message into these young men. Like, hey, we got to come together and do something bigger than just ourselves. We can do this. I know they can do it based on who is on this roster.
Captain Obvious here, but this game Saturday, to me, doesn't define the rest of the season because we've seen this team kind of battle back from other years past, demons and whatnot. But to me, it really is a point, where they show their grit and also what kind of season it could be. Because if they come back another game with no offense, I don't know who's going to believe in this team moving forward. If they come back with some offense, Brandon, and their defense lives up to the expectations, now I think we're like, all right, we got our mulligan out of the way. Yeah, we'll never forget it, but let's move forward.
Absolutely, and that's got to be the message, right? Like this is every week you're 0-0, right? You're 0-0, and we hear the coaches talk about it, and we hear obviously it's being passed out to the players. You have a faceless opponent. It doesn't matter who you play. It's about ourselves. And that's true, man. This team has the talent and the ability to move forward. And I think that all their goals are realistically still at play. Here's the thing. You have the pyramid that the coaches will make for the team at the beginning of their season, right? And the goal is always the national championship. Then it's the conference championship most likely. And then below that, it's maybe win 10 games or it's defend home field. The beautiful thing about playing in the SEC is even with some of these non-conference games, if we blow one like we did, if we can get better against Miami, head into conference play, and win all or majority of our games, you can still position yourself to have a great season. So the season's not over. It feels like it. And if you're going to choose negativity and be negative and tear people down, including your fellow Aggies and your, the players on the team, then yeah, maybe you can look at it that way. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, understand that life doesn't always happen the way we want it to, that people make mistakes. I make mistakes in my job. Thank God everybody's not monitoring me and, criticizing me every day because it'd be hard to execute at a high level, right? So hopefully these players can shut all the noise out, coaches and everybody can focus. And one of the biggest things they tell you as a football player is have a short memory. If you make a bad play, get over it because you don't have time the next play to get out and line up in front of an amazing, talented football player in front of you. If you're just harping on the bad thing that just happened, you won't be able to focus on what needs to happen the next play. So they need to do that with this football game, throw it out the window, learn from it, and move forward with positivity and a greater purpose in them.
So I know in an individual game doesn't necessarily move the needle with kids sometimes, right? But how important for this recruiting class this Saturday?
Well, it's probably now that it was going to be an enormous date on the recruiting calendar in this cycle. Now it might be the most important date on the recruiting calendar in this cycle, and there's no way to definitively say that because you don't know what's coming. Like you don't know what they're going to do on the field. You don't know what's going to happen on the recruiting trail. But to this point, it's certainly the most important day. And like I said on Monday, and I put out some notes and just some thoughts and you got to kind of let people get over the kind of the shock of what happened Saturday. Because if Jason or I would have put out a Saturday night update about DJ Hicks visiting or even a Sunday, it would have been met with a bunch of disdain and disgruntled subscribers. And you certainly understand why they're upset. But look, the recruiting job just got much harder. It goes without saying, right? Because at some point, selling kids on the vision quits working. And when you've got enough data points that kind of goes against the vision you're selling, specifically offensively, it makes the job harder. Like, I'm not breaking any news to people listening or people across the street that are in the recruiting department. Yep. They know that this job just got harder. But it's not impossible. And, like, if you win Saturday night with all these talented kids in town, under the lights at Kyle, and it's in an incredible atmosphere, it doesn't completely unring the bell that happened Saturday, but it gets you moving in the right direction, right? So there's a lot at stake coming up on the field, off the field, the whole thing. Saturday's a big night.
Yeah. By the way, if you have questions for Bronny, you guys on the premium board are going to handle a bunch of the questions.
Yeah, we did a Q&A thread yesterday.
Yep.
Opened it up, locked it at about 7 o'clock last night. Jason and I were going to go through, pick about 20 of those questions. We're going to answer them today in the studio. We're going to do TexAgs high school football show, and then separate going to do that Q&A deal. So if you're a premium subscriber, a couple of things. One, you'll have that Q&A coming out. We're going to talk nothing but recruiting. I bet that lasts 30 to 40 minutes. And then we are going to we just released the visitor list for Miami. Now, I'm not going to get into it because it's fresh on the boards as of about 15, 20 minutes ago. If you're just now looking at it, David, you can scroll through it.
I haven't even looked at it.
Okay.
I prefer not to, so that way I don't ask you about it.
Okay. Well, it's loaded.
Okay.
I mean, as loaded as any visitor list that they've had. A lot of 5-star, borderline 5-star, high 4-star kids across multiple classes heading into College Station. Some of the top players in the country, some of the top uncommitted players in the country, some kids committed elsewhere to SEC rival programs. So, again, it just Saturday night, man, it's huge.
Well, how did you get through it? Is it just taking the next game, you win nicely, and you move on? Is that basically what it comes down to?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. But I will say this, it's also about the expectation coming into what was set. As an LSU fan, I didn't have any expectations for this year. It's year zero, try to figure it out, see what Brian Kelly has. That's the issue that you have if you're A&M. It's all right, you kind of know what you should have, or more importantly, what you should not have, which is an offense that couldn't overpower people the first 2 weeks. And I think that's the biggest thing that I have been asked about across the country this week. Is not about Alabama and Texas. It's not about Kentucky beating Florida. It was what in the world is happening over at Kyle Field last week.
So let me ask you this. Do you believe they can get it right this weekend, at least offensively?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of, I don't know. And I mean, you guys are down there at practice more, but from just the novice eye, and when I talk to people around here, it's all right, what made A&M is that they found identities, especially late into the season, where they run the ball and they just make you want to tap out and quick. Now, I know the offensive line isn't to that point where they've had it in years past, but I don't know. I don't feel like I have an identity or what the pulse is for this offense right now. And it almost felt like the first 2 weeks they were trying to get Haynes King a lot more reps as far as passing the ball to develop him. Because I guess coming into the season, obviously with the injury last year, he'd only thrown 40 passes. So I get it. But at the end of the day, it felt like we knew A&M as a team that is a run-first team, and I don't feel like that's been the case over the last 2 weeks. And I mean, that's something I'd love to see. I mean, I feel like things have gone bad if A&M's passing the ball 30 times in the game right now, just based on some of their personnel.
You don't have to like, comment, text, subscribe, share. I don't know why I said text, but you don't have to do that. You don't. Because when I tell you to do it, sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't. If you did it, though, I wouldn't mind, and I'll probably comment back, unless you're really mean, and then I'll definitely comment back. If you're really nice, I'll definitely comment back. If you don't care, I'll definitely comment back.